All right, so we are on part 3, trying to get this particular isometric drawing finished. I did go back and review the size and the diameter of this particular circle, which should be 1.75, but let's just take a look at this at the moment. So I have highlighted the actual circle. Right click, go into properties. We can kind of take a look. We can find the center X, center Y on this. Notice it has given us the major radius, the minor radius, radius ratio. So, and some other start angles here as well, but no way to actually kind of go through and change that like we could if we were actually looking at this on a direct circle. Now, yes, we could do the math and we could kind of calculate out and figure out what the major and minor radius would be of a 1 3/4 inch diameter circle when it's rotated and pivoted at that 30-degree isometric angle, but at this point it'd probably be easiest just for us to go ahead and create another circle. But I do want you to kind of see how we can still use properties page and entity properties to kind of find out some more information. So let's go ahead. We're going to delete this one off of here, and we're going to come back. We're going to create it like it should be. So the axis end. So I got to hit I for ISO circle. Go ahead and pick this. Now again, notice I was in the wrong ISO screen. So let's change this back to the ISO plane right. And in this case now I want the diameter of this, so hit D for enter, and that diameter is 1.75. So now I actually have the circle on there the way it's supposed to be, and we can begin to start to kind of make some changes here for this and start to create the actual lines. So let's go back in now to our object line page. We can change some things over. Obviously we want this and this. We'll go ahead and get these radii and ellipses. So those are all going to be object lines. So we can kind of place those on there. I don't need this side, so let's go ahead and trim and cut this out. Now notice because of the lines, it's kind of breaking that in. I could have shut off the light bulb for my construction lines layer, and then it would have been easier for me to trim, but that's up to you. So hit escape to get out of that tool. Now we can go back and we can actually start to make some of these object lines. So I'm just kind of connecting the dots here. Right click, enter to get out. Right click, repeat line. So I know I'm going to go up to there. So right click, repeat line. So I'm going to put the line right here. So right click, enter to get out. Right click, repeat to get back in. So there we go. So that's kind of hitting that part. We know that we're going to have a object line right here, and we also have an object line right here, but we're kind of stuck with how the rest of these should look. Well, that's not a problem either. So if we kind of use the copy, so we can say we're going to copy this, this, and that. So hit enter, select the base point, which is right here, and now we're going to move it right down to the base point right there. Right click and enter. So we've got that positioned in here. Now you'll notice we've got some changes, so let's go back in. We're going to have to trim some stuff out here too, but let's get the lines on this first. So there's that line. So right click, repeat, and we're going to have this line right here. Now that kind of gives us an idea. So if I say I'm going to basically need to trim this out so that we can kind of have that in position. So let's go back to our trim tool. So we wouldn't be seeing this, so we can trim that out. So, and that's what it's going to look like. Let me hit escape, get out of the trim tool. Let's just go and turn the light bulb on our construction line layer so you can kind of start to see how this is beginning to take shape. So turn the construction lines on. Obviously, we know we've got some stuff going up this way and coming back. So let's go ahead and put some more lines in here in terms of our object line. So let's go back with the line tool. So we got this line going here, and we're not 100% sure. I'm going to go ahead and fill these in, but we know that that's not really where those lines are going to be in place. So we're going to more or less have a line that's coming in through here, and we're going to have to kind of sit here and kind of think about how this is going to look. So let's kind of go back, and we're going to copy just this one for right now. Go ahead and hit enter. So the base point here, now notice how we are moving this. If you remember, this is going to be 1.75. So to place that. Now, obviously that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So let's take a look back and let's kind of click undo. Let's take a second look at what is really going on and happening. So let's go back and we're going to copy this. So hit enter. It wants the base point, right? Now it's saying, what is that second point? So where should we place this? All right, now notice at this point, so we can say, all right, we can actually give this a size and an angle. So if you remember, this was 1.25 and the angle here was 150. So, and hit enter, that places it right there. So, and we would kind of now say, all right, well, we have an idea of where that's going to be placed. Let's do the same thing on the other one. So let me get escape. Let's copy here. So this is going to be our tool, our entity that we're copying. Hit enter. Base point, we're moving it again in this way. Notice, again, this is going to be 1 point. Back up to make sure that you get that. So sometimes it's going to give you different options. You just kind of have to play around. So make sure that it's doing what you want. Enter. So here's the base point. So this is going to be 1.25 tab. This is 150. Now notice how we can kind of get the different diameters here, or different radii and angles. So in this case, the endpoint with this, so if you left click, so we can kind of place some things in here. So I'm just kind of trying to show you a little bit about what's going on with this. So let's delete some of this back out. So hit escape, delete. So just so you kind of see how critical it is, you notice the keying sequence becomes a little fluky. So you got to make sure you're playing around with it and getting it right. So select this object line or the entity, hit enter. Now it's wanting the base point. Now at this point, so notice how as I move, it gives me different options. So make sure you're kind of keeping it close to where you're going to physically see the actual dimension. 1.25. Tab over to the degrees here, and if you remember, this should have been at 150 degrees for that. So, and that places that in there as well. Now you can kind of see, all right, we've got some points. So, and we've got some other aspects going on. Let's trim some of this out again. So we don't need this or that. So on the object line, it's definitely not going to be here or there. So now I'm going to turn the construction line layer back off. Okay. And at this point, we kind of have to sit here and think, all right, well, we've got part of this. Obviously, this isn't enclosed, but what should this look like up in this area? And what should that look like down here so that we can actually finish this drawing off. So let's kind of sit here and think, where should the line, we could connect a line from here to there, so let's do that for a second. I could collect and connect the line between those endpoints. But that's not technically correct, because the line that we would see is going to be somewhere back here. But we don't really know exactly where it falls. It's also not going to be connected down here. So, all right, that's too far down. We wouldn't be able to see that, so we can just go ahead and delete that off. So we really got to find the exact location where that line is going to fall at on these two arcs. So with that in mind, we're going to zoom in here a little bit closer. And if you think about it, the line itself, as we kind of go through here, is really going to be between the midpoints. So we'll go down again, make sure your midpoint and endpoint is on. So let's kind of make sure that we are in the home screen. So, and we will go ahead and create a line now from this midpoint to that midpoint. Right click and enter to get out. And now it's just a matter of us going back in and trimming some stuff out. So we'll trim this. Now notice that disappeared on me. So let's take a look, hit the undo key. And when that happens, so we've got some issues. And notice the issue here is that that line is not connected to that circle. So let's go back here and take a look at this for a second. So as I went, we created the line, and we went from this midpoint to that midpoint. So, and hit enter. Now, so at that point, when I did that originally, I assumed that I didn't quite hit the midpoint exact. Let's try now for the trim. So at this point, I can trim that out. We don't need this, so we're good on that. So let's go back in now and turn off our construction lines. And there is what this is going to look like when it's done. So go ahead and make sure that you hit the File Save button. So we'll go up to the File, Save. So make sure that you save this and get it turned in and submitted.